Good morning. Welcome to Longreach. I've been here for 2 days. Yesterday I did the Cobb Co coach ride. A bit of footage from that will follow this little walk around Longreach. Longreach is in central Queensland, approximately 700 kilometres from Rockhampton. The town is on the Tropic of Capricorn and is named after the Longreach of the Thomson River. The main industries around here are cattle, sheep, and more recently tourism. Longreach, the streets are named after birds, with all the streets running east-west, named after water birds, and the rest of this are named after land birds. Population at 2021 was 3,124. Just past the cultural centre. Here's a little marker that indicates that we're on the Tropic of Capricorn. I'm going to walk down the middle of not the middle of the street, it's the little parking in between the left and right hand lanes. I promise I won't get run over. It's a busy little town for a rural town. Very nice. It has really turned into a bit of a tourist hotspot. We have the Cobb Co Stagecoach ride that I did yesterday, as I said. The QANTAS Founders Museum, which I also did yesterday. But I found it a little underwhelming. Sorry to say that, but the girls that were on the front desk weren't certain whether I could video in there, so I decided not to. I'll include a few photos I took. Other attractions here, of course, are the famous Stockman's Hall of Fame, which I will be going to not long after this little walkthrough, and also the Powerhouse Museum. Being a retired electrician, I might find that interesting. Just want to show you the Merino Bakery. Now, this is obviously not sponsored, but I had breakfast there yesterday morning, and the bacon and egg roll and the cappuccino were very, very good. Highly recommend. I can highly recommend the Merino Bakery. I've just spotted over there some statues that look like they were from Expo 88. World Expo 88 was held in Brisbane in 1988, obviously. Some, what's that, 28 years ago? 38 years ago? 38 years ago, it'd be, wouldn't it? Well, doesn't time fly? It seems like yesterday. Well, I'll wander over here now, give you a quick look at them. I'll just wait till this lady is finished, so just pause for a minute. Okay, she's gone now. Oh, no, she hasn't. Try and hide her behind one of the statues. Expo 88 had these things all over the park, and they were sold off to different areas all over Australia. This one is obviously a bunch of bushies cooking their billy tea over a campfire. They were one of the highlights of Expo 88, in my opinion, all these little statues. Anyway, we'll continue our walk. Not much else to see here, really. Local IGA over there. Trying to avoid getting hit by a car here. It's not an overly busy town, but some of these four-wheel drive trucks would do some damage if they hit you. As you can tell by all the unfortunate roadkill on the side of the streets. Probably kangaroos don't stand a chance hitting one of these four-wheel drives with a bull bar on the front. Here we have the station store. Well, outback souvenirs and goods in there. And the home of the outback pioneers. The Welcome Home it was originally the Welcome Home Hotel, but now it's where we book and meet and register and sign in to Outback Pioneers, which is what the Cobb Co ride I did yesterday was. Just let me quickly cross the road here and show you this wonderful old car. Now, one of the things I love about this car most is the name, or the make. It's a Whippet. Unless we all know, I love my two Whippets at home. Yes, it is, isn't it? Tough too. They were building tough in those days, didn't they? Nowadays you press on the side down, it dints.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Sure. Oh, she's well metal.
Yeah. Lovely piece of machinery.
I see you down the road there when we're on the coach.
Oh yes, I did the coach ride yesterday.
Did you?
Yeah.
And mobile.
Yeah. I wanted to. It's pretty hard to get a photo while you're on it.
Yeah, true.
So I thought I'd come in the next day and stand out there and take photos. So.
Good work.
Yeah, and I'll put them in the video too when it comes out.
Good.
Thanks, mate. Moving along now, we're getting towards the end of the main street of Longreach, and we're probably getting close to the time the Powerhouse Museum opens. So I'll wander back to the car shortly and head down to the museum.
If I've got any other toys, I'll bring them back and we can make sure.
Just cross back over the road here, avoiding the traffic. There's another classic car. What it is, I have no idea. Not being a classic car man. Buick by the looks of it. Now here's a place, if you ever come into Longreach, I don't know what it's like, but it's called the Stables. It's a modern building, but it's done to look like an older building. And inside here we have some old stagecoaches. There are all the motel rooms in there, I believe. I don't know how good it is to see with this dull lighting today, and it's dark timber and dark brick. I love all these old classics. A bit like me, an old classic. Okay, I think we'll end this part of the video here now. Well, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today's the big day. Today's the day we do the Cobb Co coach ride at Longreach. We're just about to get on board. I'll quickly show you the coaches. That's what we'll be riding today, so stay tuned. Here we go. This ride is probably going to get very bumpy, but I'm looking forward to it. You've probably done this before.
Yeah, a few times, yeah.
I was going to give you
Well, you guys would have had cold meat sandwiches with a bit of pickled relish, a cup of tea or a cold drink, depending on the weather. The way the sandwiches came about, Cobb Co said to the changing station owners, our guests have already had Billy tea, damper and scones for breakfast and smoke rolls, but we want them to have sandwiches for lunch. So if we're going to supply you with business, you're going to do it our way. It's just another way Cobb Co made it a little more personal. Now we've crossed a bit of country as we've come out here today. Started on the bitumen and the gravels, then we're off onto the soft bulldust. Now we're on the hard patch or flooded country, and when we cross some rocks here, it's a bit quickly. Now if you look out the left-hand side here, on the ground, you'll see this old stone board. The old fellas would have stacked those stones more than 100 years ago, so when that creek there got up, they could still get traffic through. Some of you with keen eyes might notice on the end here there's some logs laid on the road. That's called corduroy road. They'd lay that down more if it was boggy or sandy, so vehicles wouldn't be weighed down and the animals would pull it through. Oh. Just like to stop and give the horses a quick round.
bit of turning circle in most cars.
Sure does. Stop them here so that they don't lean to rush that turn.
Yeah. This is going to be hard to see the camera. Oh, there you go.
Righto, we might get moving. Righto, boys. Journey up here to Longreach, and we're almost there. Guys, what's been going on? We haven't had too many issues. Nice, mild weather this morning, which is nice. Heat changed from yesterday. So we had a minor issue down at Windora. We had a drunk caught on with us. I reckon her name is Sue. She's been laying on the floor. She's been asleep on your shoulder. She's dribbled on your shirt. She can snore. Now we do have a more pressing issue coming in as well. A big storm rolling in from the west. If we don't beat that storm in, we're all going to be stuck camping with Sue for another night. Now after last night's episode of snoring, I think we'd all rather get back to town. And we'll let these horses have a gallop here in a moment, and we're going to try and beat that storm in. Now you guys up on the back there, make sure you're hanging on nice and tight. Put your hats down so you don't lose them. You can turn around and give Sophie a wave, so I know you've heard me.
Good? Yeah.
Righto. Everyone on the inside, make sure your hats are pulled down, your rifles are up and your false teeth are in. I'm going to let these horses have a gallop here in a moment. stressed on these gate posts. We might be in a bit of trouble.
There you come, boys.
Stand horses, sit humans.
Now, I have at different times in my working life, I'm a retired electrician, by the way, in case anyone here doesn't know me, doesn't know that, anyone watching. I have at times worked in power stations, but the first time was in one of the power stations in Newcastle and Hunter Valley, and I was an apprentice and we were just doing some maintenance on switchboards. The second time I worked in a power station was in Tasmania. And that was an underground power station on the Gordon River development, Gordon Dam development, and we were doing construction, so that was just your normal light power, control cabling, power cabling, etc. So my knowledge of how a power station runs is not that good. But still looks quite impressive. Oh, I can remember installing fuses like that, switches like that, the rewirable fuses. You don't want to get hooked up on high voltage, I can tell you. One of the common jokes in the industry is a low voltage rescue kit is a kit that we used to put nearby when we were working very close to live circuitry. It contained a pair of insulating gloves, a hook, a few other things to enable you to enable your spotter, your offsider, to remove you from a live circuit if you're hooked up. And the joke was the high voltage rescue kit was a dustpan and brush. Not very subtle, but that made people keep right away from high voltage. Mind you, most high voltage systems have safety lockout procedures that don't allow you to touch them while they're live. I remember doing some work in Western Australia where I had to change a couple of connections on a high voltage motor, and it was quite scary, even with all the testing and all the lockouts. It was still quite scary touching the live part of the cable. But I survived it. Now there's a computer. Look at that, an Amstrad. I had an Amstrad computer once. It was a little bit more modern than that one though. Not a lot, but a little bit. Don't think I'd like to eat those chickens. I think that'd be a little woody. You know what? I remember them. I remember them. We had one of them at Narrabeen in Sydney when I lived there in the late 50s, early 60s. That's obviously the washroom. No, the meat house. It'd be where they would butcher their stock. You know what, when I looked at this place online, I thought, no, I don't think I'll bother going there. It doesn't look that interesting. But boy, was I wrong. You're going to laugh in a minute. I just made a faint noise on the floor. I turned around and saw that looking at me and I thought, oh shit, there's a woman in there. Kids' bedroom. 4 kids in here by the looks of it. Including the baby. Lounge room. The old radio. Look at that. Very cool. Family would gather around here at night listening to that, I'd imagine. Phone. Mum and Dad's room with the baby. So that other bed must have been the toddler. Mum and Dad and the baby. I wonder if they were for the station hands. That's cool. That's cool. I can see a little kid enjoying that in those days. Nowadays, if it's not a PlayStation, they don't want to know about it. The washroom. Now there's a bathtub for you. Corrugated iron. And I would imagine also that quite a few kids would go through that before they change the water. Oh, that would have been power coming into the house. Uninsulated wires, that would have been very dangerous. Very dangerous indeed. Safety regulations weren't that big in those days, were they? Okay, I've arrived at the Stockman Hall of Fame here in Longreach. I'm out the front here with a statue of the ringer. I've booked to do the show and the museum. The show, I believe, will be fantastic. The museum, I'm not so certain about, but hey, I was uncertain about the Powerhouse Museum, and I was so wrong there.
I forgot to do an intro.
Okay.
Do you want to cut the tag?
We'll head off into the show now, and then after the show we'll do the movie, and then go to the museum. So I'll catch you later.
Good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Australian Stockman's Hall of Fame and Outback Heritage Centre. I thought he was excited, hey, but I'm absolutely upset the first guest straight away. Oh, mate, it'll get, was it the whip that scared him a little bit?
Yes, it's very for Carlton.
I reckon there could be an underlying factor. I reckon he might have seen a whip before and he's drugged up a few memories. Anyway. That doesn't hurt him. Well, a big welcome to you, ladies and gentlemen, to the Stockman's Hall of Fame. My name's Stuart Bryant, and the flies been really bad out the back this morning. You guys getting the flies up there? You're not? Probably the horse. Hey, I tell you what, as a Stockman, we've got to learn to overcome a lot of different adversities in our day-to-day life, and flies are just one of those ones we've got to overcome. You guys are probably lucky when you travel. You probably carry a bit of fly spray or insect repellent, any of those sorts of things. Stockman doesn't carry that sort of luxury, so he's got to be a little bit more creative with how he shoos the flies, and we're going to show you now one of the best ways we've ever seen to be able to do it. There we go. Welcome to you everyone to the Stockman's Hall of Fame. We want to take you through today what the day-to-day life of being a Stockman is all about. We want to give you a really good understanding of who a Stockman is, what he goes through, what happens in the day-to-day running the things. And if we do our job properly, we hopefully leave you here with a really good appreciation of who our Stockman is and what they go through. We're going to use a lot of different tools to get that job done today. We're going to bring out a few different horses. We'll introduce them as we go. We've got a lot of whips to get throughout the show. We're going to bring the sheep out at some stage. When we bring the sheep out, we always bring out some working dogs and that sort of thing. Now, we've actually got a young working dog. We're going to start the show with him today. We've been through a little bit of training recently, and I think he's up to it. Obviously, you can see how excited he is. He gets the stretchers out of the road there, warming up, ready to go. But this is Smitty, guys. Smitty's a Smithfield Terrier cross, so we called him Smitty, really original. But Smithy's mum and dad were really good working dogs, and Smithy's about 18 months of age, so he's really starting to show a bit of form now, and I think he's worthy of getting into the show. He'll come straight out here, hop onto the sheep and get ready to get to work, won't you? Come on, mate. Here, Smithy. Smithy, hey, this way. Oh, Smithy, this is not a good start, is it? Oh, no. Look, if you must know, he's actually going straight back to his grassroots. If we're going to put all the cards on the table, Smitty actually came to us second hand from across the road at the airport. He was originally going to be trained up to be a drug sniffer dog. Now he's zeroed straight in on these guys. When he sits down beside someone, that's usually a dead giveaway. Alright, I'll tell you what, Smitty will come around and say good day to everyone, he'll check everyone out. If you don't like dogs, just ignore him or push him on his way. If you do like dogs, give him a bit of a pat and a scratch, that sort of thing. If you're one of those dog lovers though, that love it when a dog licks you on the face and that sort of thing, right? If you'd have seen when he was licking at the back before the show. And it is one of his pet traits is to actually sneak up behind you and give you that sneaky lick up the side of the neck or the face, so just keep an eye out for him. If you hear him coming, if you feel that warm breath on your neck and it's not your partner, fair chance it'll be Smitty. Alright. Alright, I tell you what, the show won't, the jokes will not get any better, but the show will start to shape up a bit better now. Like a true Stockman or drover of yesteryear would, someone like Sydney Kidman, this is exactly how he used to travel. Always used to carry a pack horse. Quite often he'd have a couple of pack horses. Pack horse is really important. It carries all the gear we need when we go out travelling. You know, we put all the gear in the saddlebags, and he's going to keep it all there for us for when we need it. Now, on the other side, we always carry a spare riding horse. Sometimes we'll carry a couple of them. Now, he's got a really important job, the spare horse, because number one, if we break down, we've got a spare horse to ride. But more often than not, Rio here, he's going to need a day off every second day, so when he has a day off, we've got a spare horse to be able to ride. Now, I'd like to get down and we're going to have a talk about this young horse and go through a few things with him, but as you can see, I've got a handful of lead ropes and reins and everything going on up here. Getting a little bit busy, so I've been on the hunt now for a while for a beautiful assistant to join me in the show. Looking for someone really smart and talented and charismatic. We've been looking for someone pretty and beautiful and all those sorts of things you look for in a beautiful assistant. But we haven't been able to find anyone. So we're going to use my wife, Kelly, today. Now, if you guys can give Kelly a big round of applause, that'd be really cool. All right, we'll see Kelly come out a little bit later on in the show. This little horse here that we've got here now, this is Blue, and Blue's actually one of Kelly's horses. It's only a recent addition. Now, we call him Blue because he's a redhead. We want to keep it nice and Australian. So we Blue. Now, Blue's going to help us. Really funny story. When I got this horse for Kelly, I rang up a mate of mine, and he lives and breathes horses 24/7. I rang him up and I said, come and have a look at this nice little stock horse I got for my wife. And he come out here to look at him, he ran his hands all over him, he said, he's a nice horse, I really like him. He said, that's a good trade you made right there. Oh, that might have divided the crowd in two. Alright, but one of the most common questions I get asked all the time, apart from is that beautiful young lady really your wife, because that does come up, is how long does it take to train a horse to accept that whip being cracked off his back? You know, when we're sitting on a horse's back and that whip's cracking so close to his face. Now, horsemanship of bygone era looked a lot different to what we handle things now with horsemanship. They used to basically just jump on the horse and they'd just start cracking the whip. And if the horse didn't like it, he just had to put up with it until he worked it out. So we can see, I'll show you here now, if I do that, if I just go straight into cracking a whip beside this horse, he doesn't like it. All right? Does not like it at all. Now, if I was sitting up on his back there, we're probably going to come unstuck pretty quick. So, we want to actually explain the principle behind how we actually train the horse and we gain the trust. Trust is the most important thing in any relationship, whether that's your horses, your dogs, or your wife. It's absolutely the most key. I don't mean to put them in that order. But it's going to look a little bit different to what you might think. What we actually do is we just start by putting a little bit of energy into the whip. Okay? Now, what I'm actually looking for is a reaction out of the horse. I want him to react, so I can teach him what I want. I'll explain that as we go. So no reaction. So I up the energy a little bit more. There's the reaction. And that reaction is just him saying, you know what, that's too close, I don't like it, I'm not comfortable with the whip being there. So I let him go, and I wait until he stops reacting. And as soon as he stops reacting, I stop with the whip. Human nature would tell us, our good nature would tell us that when we do something with the horse that scares the horse, we should stop doing what we're doing straight away, wouldn't it? That's what we would sort of naturally think. We're scaring the poor horse. But horses are so intelligent He will work out in 2 seconds flat. If every time he runs away from the scary thing actually stops, we actually end up teaching the horse to be scared of the whip, and that's the opposite to what we want. So we continue going until he can process on his own terms that the whip's not actually going to hurt him in any way, shape or form, and as soon as he stops reacting, we stop with the whip and we tell him that that's the right answer. And we repeat that process until we get up on top of his back. We should be able to crack 2 whips all the way around him, and he won't even turn a hair, just like Rio did there in the very first place. Oh, it's a bit sparky. All right, just like Rio did in the early place there. So anyway, that's how we break a horse. Give that to the stock whip anyway. Give Bluey a little round of applause, guys. You don't want to take too much time there with Bluey. All right, you got a drink of water then?
No, it's up here in the esky.
You're not going to get it for me.
No, you can get your own body.
Lucky I got a good mate. Sometimes the relationship between a horse and yourself is one of the strongest relationships you'll have in your entire life, this fella. Mate, can you just zip up there? There's an esky up the end there. It's got some water in it. If you bring, just, I'll tell you what, Johnny, bring the whole esky back and be the go. Pick him up, mate. Good boy. Bring him back over here. Good lad. Don't take it yet. He's got to bring it all the way back. There we go. Now we can give him a round of applause, guys.
Tell you what, Tom, we need a volunteer. We need a young man.
Good luck.
We need a young man. These guys up here. How old's the older one?
10, turning 11 soon.
How old? 10.
Are they too young
Bit
already?
young. Is that Dad beside you? How old's Dad? 40, perfect. That's exactly what we need. What's Dad's name? Scott. Let's get Scott here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give Scott a big round of applause. Come on, Scott. If you head back down, mate, and wander down across the front and come downstairs, wait at the blind. Just facing Scott. That'd be really good. There, mate, on the corner. You had some glasses on before, didn't you? Should have left them on. That's all right. We've got to use glasses just to protect your eyes and for insurance purposes. And also, Scott, this one will get very loud. So do me a favour, whack them on just to protect your hearing. Doesn't get loud at all, folks. We just don't want Scotty hearing what we call this next one. This is actually known as a Longreach vasectomy. Get your hands there, everyone. Yeah, is that your wife up there filming? Good. Measure him up about that. Doing it. A bit more off. A bit more off. Is that a measurement or is that spot on? About that? Could have called it the short reach vasectomy, Scotty, shouldn't we, mate? Put that on the very tips of that knee and hang on to that with your finger and move your knee out that way and hang on to that with the very tip of your finger. Right on the end. That's a little bit shorter than we want to go. Can't always be blessed though, mate, can we? Honey, can you turn the danger music off, please? We don't need danger music for this one. I have not missed this season yet. We're on 100% strike rate this season. Alright, but look, I've actually practiced this a lot. Growing up as a young lad, we used to practice this a lot, all the time in the backyard. I used to use my little brother as the guinea pig. He's now my little sister. Now, a couple of things here. Number one, Scotty, the Stockman's Hall of Fame has a really, really good insurance policy. And if you're worried about safety at this point in time, I'd like to reassure everyone, especially Scott, I have never ever once hurt myself doing this yet. Ready, mate? Most people say no. Thank you, so you get to pick the paper as a souvenir for your time in the show. You might even need it, I don't know how you roll. Right, let's give Scott one big round of applause, guys. Thanks, Scott. Right, while we're waiting for Scott to find his chair again. A nursery rhyme. See if you can name this nursery rhyme. Mary had a little lamb, sir, absolutely. The sheep give it away, don't they? Oh, did everyone get Mary Had a Little Lamb? Liars. I'm going to sing it out loud for you for those that didn't get it, okay? Mary had a little lamb and ran into a pylon. 2,000 volts went up the bump, turned its wool to nylon. Oh dear, got one? Alright, I tell you what, Mary had a little lamb, but Stewie's got about 20 on there to bring out. So, perfect chance to bring out our sheep. Now, we said before, when we bring out the sheep, that's when we bring out our working dogs. So, release the kelpies. Here they are. Righto, first one in the pink collar, this is Meg. Meg's a purebred kelpie, been a working dog her entire life, born and bred on the farm. She's excited, she's ready to go. Where'd you go? Here you go. Alright, she's very much the matron of all our dogs. Now, the dog on the tucker box over here, this is Jimmy. Jimmy is a 5-year-old kelpie, purebred. His mum and dad were outstanding working dogs. Jimmy's been a pet his entire life and he's pretty much useless. Now, why do we bring a dog like Jimmy to the show, you think? Purely because if you've ever had anything to do with working dogs as pets, you know that they still have the instinct to work. And it's the instinct is the most important thing in all our working animals, particularly our dogs. Without instinct, we haven't got anything. I have been trying to teach him a bit of crowd etiquette though. Jim, if you can not turn your back to the crowd, mate. Sit. Sit. Give him a big wave, Jimmy. Big wave. Big wave. Big wave. Yeah, there you go. Right, now Jimmy's going to get a little bit excited when it comes time to working with a few sheep, so we're just going to put a muzzle on him. Muzzle's going to stop him biting. Jimmy hasn't actually bitten anything yet, but we don't want to take the chance because once a working dog learns the habit of biting sheep, it's a very hard habit for them to break. And I speak from personal experience. I suffer from the same condition personally. I just like mine with a bit of mint sauce and salt and pepper. Alright, now hopefully everyone here today has already seen the cinema inside. If you haven't seen the cinema, make sure you take the time to go and have a look. It's really, really well done. They do a great job of explaining about the importance of the sheep and wool industry to Australia. Okay, the old saying, Australia rode on the sheep's back, just as important today, that saying, as when it was first coined many, many moons ago. But one thing in the cinema that they fail to cover on at all is one of our most important assets on the land, and that's our working dogs. Okay? Today, a working dog will set you back anywhere between $1,000 to sort of $10,000, depending on pedigree and training and that sort of thing. A dog like Jim you'll get for a box of beer. Okay, but the recent high price for a Kelpie at auction was down at Casterton, down in Victoria, where they have an annual Kelpie auction, $40,000 for a single dog. Now that sounds a lot of money, but a good working dog, they are worth their weight in gold, and they don't require RDOs or holiday pay, so it's really good. Righto, mate, get over. Righto, so now today we can show you how we train our working dogs, and if you watch Jim, we'll show you how we don't train our working dogs. What's really natural for the working dog is to bring the sheep back towards us. So if you watch where Meg goes there, she naturally goes on the other side of the mob all the time. Okay, if I go around one side, she naturally knows to go around the other side. It's what we call balancing on the mob, always bringing those sheep back towards me. Okay, if you watch Jimmy, he can only balance on his 4 feet. Alright, now what we might do is we might take our sheep down into the stockyards. We're going to give them a draft. Caught up here, traffic jam. You Meg. Here, come back. You Jim, push. You Jim, push. Jim, push. Good dog. Here Jim, get over. Get over, Jim. Jim. Push him. That'll do. Good dog. Good dog. Let's give Jimmy a round of applause, eh? Good job, all right. So Jimmy's having a real little crack there, but all our dogs have got a specialty niche, somewhere where they're really good at, and where Jimmy shines is being tied to that fence. Here, Meg. Righto. Now to draft our sheep, here, Meg, come over here. Meg. Here, Meg. Here you go. Good job. Righto, so to draft our sheep, we're going to run them down a single file draft like this one. Here, Meg's got other ideas. We run them down a single file draft like this one, down the race, and as technologically advanced as we've got in hundreds of years of drafting sheep, we just use a simple drafting gate that goes left and right, like this, separates the sheep into 2 mobs. Okay, a normal set of stockyards, just leave her. Another set of stockyards will have another pen out here so they stay in 2 mobs when we draft them. We haven't quite got enough room for that, so we're just going to have to pretend. Here, Meg, come here. Here, Meg. Meg, come over here. Good dog, good dog. Righto, now when we said before we train the dogs to bring the stock to us, this is where it's key, okay? As a dog, she's going to bring the sheep to me. Here, Meg, go back. Go back. You over. You right over. Righto, and as the sheep come down, she goes back, the sheep come down, and we start drafting girls from boys, or the big ones from the small ones. The Kiwis actually refer to this as a form of Tinder, because you can swipe left for that one, swipe right for that one. You know, I don't know how they judge their sheep, and yeah, we don't want to go down that little rabbit hole either, do we? Meg, sit. Righto, what we might do today is we're going to leave just a hatful of sheep in the yards. So after the show, anyone that's never had a chance to get up close and personal with some sheep, might not be from New Zealand. Okay, this is a great chance to come on down. If you've got little kids, please don't let them stick their arms through the rail, okay? Great way to bust an arm. Climb up on the side of the rail, lean over, open up that wool down onto the skin, and there's a couple of really nice fine wool merino sheep here in the pen. Who's ever seen that movie Babe before? You know the one I'm talking about? Babe was the famous movie of the talking pig that talked to the sheep and got the sheep to comply and obey and do what they had to do. Really great movie. I loved the movie when I was a kid. But if you think back to the movie, the pig gets all the credit. It was the wise old sheepdog that taught the pig the magic secret of how to talk to sheep, wasn't it? Right, now you wouldn't hear it up here in the stands, and down the other end of the grandstand you definitely wouldn't hear it because it's very quiet. Meg just quietly talks to the sheep. But she said, once you finish going through the race, I want you to make your way in a quiet, orderly manner back down to your pen. So Meg's learned the art of working smarter, not harder. Okay, again, the brains of the operation, the female dog of the tribe. Now, there's probably a few skeptics still sitting up there going, the dog doesn't really talk to the sheep. Meg said, when you get down there, guys, single file back into your yard. So this is the method they use to train the sheep for movies and that sort of thing. They have a really high caliber sheepdog like Meg that talks to the sheep, and the sheep, when they obey, geez, it makes our life so much easier as a stockman when you just got to talk to the sheep and they do exactly what they've got to do. You're witnessing firsthand here, you're witnessing some really magical stuff at the Stockman's Hall of Fame. Let's give the sheep and give Meg a really big round of applause. Let's take it back and all gone home already. Alright, she knows when the job's done. It's very important to us here at the Hall of Fame that we give you the right information to take home. So obviously that last little part was an absolute crock, wasn't it?
We do not know this Australian's name, and we never will. We do not know his rank or his battalion. He may have been one of those who believed the Great War would be an adventure too grand to miss. He may have felt that he would never live down the shame of not going. The unknown soldier honours the memory of all those men and women who laid down their lives for Australia. We've lost more than 100,000 lives, but we've gained a legend and a deeper understanding of what it means to be Australian.
So we want to focus there for a moment on one of the lines that's at the back end of that verse. And that's the line where they say, as a nation we gained a legend. Now I think in that breath they're obviously referring to our Anzacs and our diggers. But I think in the same breath, we can extend that legendary status out to the horses that we sent across the war. The horses that we sent, they were a dead spitting image of Juddy, in the sense that they were our best horses. Horses that we bred in Australia to do our jobs. We had to breed a horse that was not only tough physically, but tough mentally. Because we threw everything at our horses in those days. They had to be multitaskers, they had to be able to handle all the different jobs and environments that we threw them into. Think of a horse that could handle those long hot days of work in the outback, you know, that hot, dry, arid, deserty country. Or a horse that could handle the steep and rough, rugged mountains of the Victorian High Country or the snowy mountains. We bred horses in Australia that could handle all that. So therefore the horses that we had available to supply to war became known as some of the finest military mounts anywhere in the world. Horses that we later called the whaler. A lot of people today are familiar with the story of the whaler. A lot of people believe that they got their name from their origins of birth back to New South Wales. Other people believe that we called them whalers because in those days we transported a lot of horses overseas in the belly of old whaling ships. However they got their name, I feel is not as important as what they did with their name. And they transformed that name, the whaler, into the legendary status in my view in that campaign against Beersheba when the 4th and 12th Light Horse made that famous charge across the sands. They took Beersheba and they had an ultimate hand in the ending of World War I. 800 men and their horses in that famous charge, regarded as one of the last cavalry charges in history. It's something as a nation we can be incredibly proud of. And we want to share with you now a poem written by a great mate of ours back home in Mansfield. A fellow called Wayne Anderson wrote this next one. It tells the story of that time. It's called On Foreign Ground. This foreign ground is vast and arid. It's sure as hot as hell. It has very little water, just an oasis and a well. As wind chains shake the sand dunes that flow into the sun, and the landscape scarred with trenches, and the guns made deafening sounds as we ride along the sands on foreign ground. Under magical moonlight skies we rode where mighty armies tramped. With Chevelle we clashed with Turks, destroying wells on our way past. Through storms of dust we carried on. You walked so proud without a sound, you kept me safe on foreign ground. With the rattling of the Turkish guns and our hearts strained at bursting point, we rode towards that smoking serpent through teeming rains of lead. As dust from hooves made vision poor, we charged into that fiery sound. And at the end, we thanked the Lord, still standing here on ancient land, so far from home, on foreign ground. This rugged earth goes on and on. This campaign has been cruel and long. And now they say we're homeward bound, but to leave our mates on foreign ground. As the sun bounces off each grain of sand, I stand here in this foreign land, and with my best mate by my side, we'll mount up for our final ride. One final ride on foreign ground. And so, my friend, I'll leave you here, but not for sale, nor for abuse. No cart you'll pull, no load you'll bear. I'll take with me that piece of main. I load my gun, that deafening sound. I left you there on foreign ground. It's obviously by far the saddest part of the show, ladies and gentlemen. I also think it's probably one of the most important parts. And I don't think it hits home any harder than that when we realise that all we brought back was the saddles. The men that were lucky enough to return switched out from their slouch hat and back on with their Akuba, and then back to rebuilding after everything that was lost throughout that entire campaign. As a nation, we sent 136,000 horses across to World War I. We only ever brought one horse home. A horse named Sandy, that a lot of people are familiar with the story of Sandy, the only horse to return. As a stockman, we have an incredible bond with our horse. You don't spend that amount of time with an animal and not develop something truly special. But as a stockman, we're just riding around the bush. Those boys rode their horses into battle, and that's an entirely different animal altogether. For whatever reason, we didn't bring our mates home. We don't want to dwell on that, but I think it's very important that we forever honour their memory and forever their legacy. So if you join me in removing your hats as a sign of respect, lest we forget. I know that one hits hard, hits home pretty hard, ladies and gentlemen, has some reaching for the tissues, but that just means that it means something to us, and I think that's why we do it. I think it's very important we remember that part of our history.